Hi, my name is Natalie Crane. I'm 23 years old. I'm 5'7". I'm available for the duration of this contract as well as all callback dates, and I am sad.
Hey, welcome back to Mental Health in Musical Theater. I'm Natalie Crane, creator and host, and as you can hear, I am ill. So sorry that my voice sounds like this. I'm just suffering from an upper respiratory ick right now. Regardless of that, I'm still super stoked for episode 4 of this series. I have a very special guest for today's episode. Michael Kushner is an artist and creator based in New York City. He has created such an amazing career for himself. He's also such an admirable person, and the first time that I met him, I had never felt so seen as an actor, but also just as a human. He has a way of enhancing and validating your humanity as a performer by doing the same with his. He is an incredibly interesting and curious person with a lot of wisdom to impart, and I'm so excited to share that with you all today. I'll start with my self-care segment. So obviously, number one, I've had to take some time to rest to get through this respiratory illness that I'm dealing with. So I've just been resting. I've been working too because I need the money and the hours. But after work, I usually go to the gym and do some extra work. But I've just been going home and resting and spending time with my boyfriend and watching American Horror Story right now. It's my favorite show, but he's never seen it. So we're starting on season 1, which is really exciting, and it's very comforting for me. And he really likes it, so we've just been chilling. He's also ill with the same sickness, so we've just been resting, and I don't feel guilty about it, and that's number 1 for me. Number 2, I got an appointment for an audition that I'm really excited about, and part of taking care of myself involves tending to my passions. This audition is out of town, and so I took off work actually to go to this audition because it's something that really excites me and fuels the fire in me. And so I'm going to go out of town to audition for this show that I'm really quite excited about. It's a rock musical, and I'm really into that, so that's really exciting. Number 3, I took 3 baths yesterday. 3. This is in part because I'm sick, but also I've just been really enjoying taking baths recently. If you're blessed to have a bathtub, use it. Get some bath salts and some bubbles and just chill. I have a little tray that I put my phone on in my book, and I just chill and light some candles. It's the staple self-care ritual that you can do for yourself. I feel like my voice is extremely unpleasant to listen to, so I'm just going to end it there for now so we can get into the interview. So without further ado, I introduce to you the lovely Michael Kushner. So today we have a VIP in the Broadway community, NYC's leading multi-hyphenate and the creator of the Dressing Room Project, Michael Kushner. Thank you so much, Michael, for coming on the show today.
Hi, Natalie, and everyone listening. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so great this morning.
Is this what Nebraska looks like behind you?
Yes, this is the layout of the land here. There's corn
I
in the pantry if you need it.
Oh, perfect. I am coming to Nebraska soon
Really?
to photograph the seniors' headshots at Nebraska Wesleyan. So
No
I'm excited.
way. Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
incredible. That's
cool.
so fun. I love that. Good for them.
We're
So, anyways, I would love to just get chatting about who you are and what you
Sure.
do and this sort of philosophy that you've created with your multi-hyphenate in your book. So just, yeah, just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hi, I'm Michael Kushner. I'm a Jewish, I'm a queer Jewish theater maker, and I've been in the industry 23 years, and I've seen a lot in the industry. I've seen a lot of incredible things. I've seen a lot of not incredible things. But ultimately, I've always wanted to just tell stories. I've always wanted to, and it didn't matter. Of course, I always wanted to be an actor. That was primarily how I was doing theater. But I liked writing. I liked directing. I liked casting. I liked coming casting, talking with my friends about who could play who, and producing when before I knew what producing was. And I was open. It started out. I have this very deep connection with the Titanic, and my grandma asked if we wanted to write our own movie about a shipwreck, Andrea Doria, as opposed to the Titanic, because I was so obsessed with the movie. And on the first page of the script, it says, written by Michael Kushner, produced by Michael Kushner, starring Michael Kushner, directed by Michael Kushner. And I was 7. So that was the introduction to what I can do as an artist, right? I could do it
Yeah.
all if I wanted to. And then I had Elena Garcia, who was my high school teacher. And in our sophomore year class, we had to write, direct, produce, and act in our own one-person shows. So, like, I directed Emily Katz's, and Emily tech designed mine. And it was really awesome. And figuring out the different proficiencies, not just acting. And then college, I had Cynthia Henderson, who was my acting teacher, but she did performing arts for social change. And she was an actor as well and a director. So I have all of these really wonderful people that were great role models directly to me, not like I was watching them, but had me influence that. So I was her TA in my senior year of college, but I also hosted the radio show Best of Broadway, and I was on the guest artist committee, and I was also in the shows. So there was so much I was doing that wasn't separate from each other. And what I would like to be really clear about multi-hyphenating is that it's not, we have a lot of things going on, we're not multitasking. Everything that we do, every hyphen that we have, and I have a very specific way of figuring out your hyphens. Every hyphen that you have affects each other. They don't live separately, they help each other. So
Yeah.
my photography helps my producing helps my acting, and my acting helps my photography, my acting helps my teaching helps my producing. They all interweave with each other. That way, we have our hobbies separately. We have our skills that are sometimes separate than our proficiencies. Sometimes they become proficiencies. And I like to really enforce that, because then it becomes really too muddled, really too overwhelming. If you're like, I'm really good with dogs, so I guess I'm a dog lover. I'm like, that's not a hyphen though. That is a quality that you have, which is great. Maybe it's a skill. Maybe it'll help you open up a Broadway dog walking business, or it'll help you on set of a film. But that doesn't, just because you love dogs doesn't mean that you are an actor, photographer, producer, dog
Dog lover.
lover.
Yeah, totally.
So and I have a lot of ways of figuring that out, but you got to figure out the ways in which your talents and your skills, your hyphens, help who you are as an artist.
Yeah. They all like collaborate with each other. That's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible, Michael. You are the first sort of industry professional that I've heard speak about a concept like this. Michael actually came to speak to my college back in March.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he came and we were doing a bunch of workshops in New York City, and Michael gracefully blessed us with his presence and told us all about his business and who he is as a person and his multi-hyphenate philosophy. And that was the moment that I had first heard about anything like this and the concept of that. And that made me feel the most validated as an artist and a person as I had ever felt in my life. And that's why I wanted to have you on this show today, is because you really encapsulate what it means to be a performer, yes, but like a human being first and foremost, and to really to hone in on everything and every talent that you have and every gift and whatever you can bring to the table. It's all worth something. And so my next question was, who are you separate from your career?
Yeah, I love that. No one ever asks me that question, which is pretty great. And ultimately, I am, just like I said, I'm a queer Jewish guy who is like musical theater flop obsessed. Like, I love flops, but I
Yes.
also love like home renovation. My husband and I are renovating a log cabin right now, and we love travel and history. I would say outside of the theater, which helps my work in the theater, is that I am an inquisitive, deep, yet comedic individual who always tries to look for the positivity and beauty in things. So even flops, right? Maybe they lasted a week on Broadway, but what is the beauty about that? What is the gem song from it? Like, what was good about it? Or taking a dilapidated old log cabin and restoring it. I think I'm really inquisitive in that way, but I also lead with a lot of humor. So I find joy and humor in things. And I think that's what makes me a human. But when it comes to being a human and an artist, I'm an artist who is a multi-hyphenate, an artist has multiple proficiencies. which cross-pollinate to help flourish professional capabilities. But my why statement, I would have to say, is that through surviving a global pandemic, I produce non-quotidian artistry that benefits myself and the world around me on a global perspective. That's who I am, tying in my humanity to my art that I do. But by doing that, by answering those questions in that way, I'm able to say no to a lot of things. No to things that I know are not going to serve me. I'm not going to serve it, because if you're telling me all of these things that you want to do and they don't match my core, my beliefs, I've had enough experience where I've said yes to those things and they wind up becoming tense and strenuous experiences. But when I'm matched with people who have the same core identities, the same outlooks on lives, that's when magic happens. So I think having a statement, what I like to call a why statement, really helps. Really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really inspiring to hear somebody speak about themselves in a way that is separate from the work that they can produce and what they can bring as a human being. It's beautiful.
What about you?
Me,
Yeah.
I am a up and coming, just like auditioning performer in the industry, but I am a poet. I am a coffee connoisseur. I love the artistry of making coffee. I am a gardener. I love gardening. I love home decor as well. Maybe not so much like renovation stuff, but I love creating. I love nesting is what I call it. I'm really passionate about like home design and home decor and creating a beautiful space for myself and my friends and my loved ones to spend time in. I'm a quad roller skater. I've devoted a lot of my time throughout college specifically in training myself to become an intermediate to advanced roller skater. I'm a gym connoisseur as well. I love heavy lifting. I lift heavy weights. Super fun. Makes me feel like a badass.
Yeah, you are.
But I'm a friend. I'm a loyal friend, and I care deeply about the people that are in my circle and in my life. And I devote so much of my time making sure that people feel heard and safe and seen around me, because I have felt the opposite of that for a lot of my life, and be at peace and to find peace within myself, anything aside. I just want to be peaceful wherever I am. So I'm a lover, I'm a friend, a fierce friend. And yeah, something you said about you finding the beauty in things that might not be considered beautiful. One of my questions actually for you was, what is something that you find beautiful that others might not? So I would love to hear that.
Wow. I would definitely say, I think I said it before, but I would love to elaborate.
Yeah, please.
I actually have two different things. One is musical theater flops.
That's that's hilarious. I love that.
I love them. I was actually
Yeah.
just listening to two this morning. What I like to do is I wake up at 7, I make tea, I sit at my window, I watch the city wake up, and I do a lot of computer edits before my shoots. And what I do is I listen to a musical that I don't know well, but cast albums are usually only about an hour long, so I can get through a few of them. So this morning, I listened to Darling of the Day and Destry Rides Again. Those are the two cast albums that I got through today. See, this is what's beautiful about them, right? Like Darling of the Day is a musical I've actually never heard of, and it's with Vincent Price. And Vincent Price is known for horror films. And there's some beautiful music in it. There wasn't necessarily anything that I was like, oh, I gotta listen to that again. It does have a beautiful score, though, but nothing that really got me hooked.
Yeah.
And that was at the George Abbott Theater, which was on 54th Street, which is no longer there. So the Hilton Hotel extended, they demolished it and extended the Hilton Hotel. And that's, I think, beautiful. That's something that I love to explore. Where was the musical? What was there before it? What was there after it? What's there now? One of my favorite things about walking into a theater and photographing backstage of theaters is the emotional connection I have to it. I love that. There was something called the 1982 Theater Massacre, and no one died, but they demolished 5 theaters. This killed 5 theaters. Gorgeous theaters where some of your favorite shows originated, incredible performances, to make the Marriott Marquis Hotel. And there is a theater in the Marriott Marquis. That's where Beetlejuice just was. That's where Thoroughly Modern Millie was, Drowsy Chaperone. But they've noticed throughout the years that the Marriott Marquis is a home to many flops. So they think it's actually cursed, which is really
Cursed
cool
theater.
because 5 theaters were demolished to make that and to make that hotel. But I think that's beautiful to figure out that history and that connection and what songs were great from that show. What can you take now and change the key in and put in a cabaret show? And then I also find a lot of actors that come into my studio that really hate headshots. They really are miserable, like Les Mis, about the experience.
Good one.
Thank you so much. Really miserable. And then they come here and I take care of them and I help them find love in this thing that is a requirement in the industry. And that is lovely. I think finding the art in headshots and finding the art in what are sometimes seen as artless things, that is something that I love to do.
Yeah. Like the art of noticing.
Yeah, and the art of also just understanding like headshots are another opportunity for you to tell a story. They're
Yeah.
another opportunity for you to be an actor, right? There's a lens in front of you. When else is there a lens in front of you? What are you doing when you're on set and doing self-tapes? You're acting. Why shouldn't you be doing that during headshots? It creates more dimension in your photo. We want casting to believe that you are a part of the world in which they are casting. So act in your headshot. You don't have to be like crying in your headshots, but there should be a connection. There should be something that makes you feel something like, oh my God, that person. I would love to see them in the room. I'd love to see them do a piece from the show. I love discovering that beauty in something that is not normally seen as beautiful.
Yeah. I love that. What a beautifully nuanced and curious perspective that you have on everything. I absolutely adore it and aspire to be there. So, with your heavy involvement in the industry, what is something that you think needs to happen sooner rather than later?
Boy.
And you can take the perspective of mental health advocacy if you would like, but you can also say whatever you want.
That is a loaded question.
It really is.
I think patience. I think everyone needs patience. I think everyone needs to take a breath and understand, oh my God, I need to take a breath and connect to my patients with the banging that's happening outside of this apartment. Wasn't happening all morning, and of course,
But just right when we start recording. Yeah.
Yeah, literally. Shut up.
Yeah. Bang back.
So I know, right? People do that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure.
I think it's patience. I think we're not out of it. We just had a surge in COVID, right? We're still in this pandemic. No matter what people think about it, it's still happening.
Yeah.
And there's a strike. Tensions are high. People are reactive. People are scared. People are tense. And I think because there's so much going on, we all have to have patience with each other. So if someone says something that you don't disagree with, that's not like harmful, but you don't disagree with it, you don't need to cancel them. Maybe inquire as to why they think that way, but doesn't require that. We don't need to bring out the pitchforks. Patience also invokes change. We can take a step back and go, okay, what do we really need to fix the situation as opposed to me reacting reactively? You know what I mean? Taking a breath. Whenever I act reactively, it never works out well, right?
Yeah, same.
So I have to take a step back, gather my thoughts, go, okay, maybe here's how I could have done something differently. Or maybe here's something I can create that will change. Or here's how my words, me taking up space, will help the situation. Patience, going a little slower. We're all trying to make a better world, right?
Yeah.
But I think some of us like to be the loudest people in the room. And I don't necessarily know if that helps all the time. But I think taking a step back, having patience, having clear thought, and then making action, I think is probably the best way to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think we all need to hear that every so often. You're allowed to think before you speak. You don't always have to respond vehemently about everything. And I talked about this in my second episode. We're talking about the NT grind and the speed of it all. And that is something that I touch on often in the episode. I constantly feel that I need to be on level 10 all the time. And I don't think that is entirely necessary in order to sustain a healthy life outside of what you're doing in the industry. And I think that goes hand in hand with everything that you just said.
I saw a video on TikTok. I didn't even really watch the whole thing. I also really try not to have my TikTok cultivated for musical theater because
Same, I can't.
I can't do it.
Honestly,
Oh my God, my TikTok is ghosts. See, that's the thing is I love musical theater,
same.
but the musical theater TikTok are way different. I like getting lost in my cast albums, creating the art form, but the videos that I see on TikTok are many are based in untruths. Like there's one video that I almost stitched and was like, and I never do this, that I was like, this is not true. This is not true. But I was like, Michael, just scroll. It's okay. Just scroll. Just patience, breathe it out. It's okay. You don't need to be so reactive.
Yeah.
There's a video I saw the other day that was, I think, like a video of Ripley Greer or Pearl or whoever. I think it was a Sweeney Todd call. And there was like hundreds of people in the rooms and in the hallway. And the comments were like, oh, I'm so done with musical theater. And I'm like, guys, this is nothing new. This has been like this for many years.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about like 20 years. This has been like this since musical theater, since vaudeville. And if someone could figure out a new way, a better way of doing this, I think someone would. And there have been improvements, believe it or not. And this is a bigger conversation about supply and demand and about economy. And this is it's a much bigger conversation.
Broad, yeah.
But there are many of us. There are many of us, and there are 41 theaters on Broadway. So there are not enough jobs. There are not many jobs on Broadway as a performer. There are 41 theaters in the cast range, right? But that's why I'm also like, actors, remember that regional theater exists. Remember that other theater exists. Other markets exist. It's not just Broadway. It's not just Midtown. It's not just here in New York. But then there's also the theater that you create. Don't be done with musical theater. You are experiencing commercial musical theater. You are experiencing
Ding, ding,
Broadway
ding.
specifically. Where's your story? Why don't you sit down at your computer and go, you know what? Not going to audition for Sweeney Todd today. Those rooms are anxiety inducing. Take care of yourself mentally. Eat lunch, sit down, drink some water, and write your story and get that produced. Because it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Both are going to be hard work. But would you rather put hard work in on your story and say, I wrote this play. Now, how am I going to figure out to get it produced? Or are you going to put yourself through that hard work where you're like, I'm done with musical theater. I'm in a room of 500 other people, which 500 people is not a lot. It's not. Certain open calls over the years, rent, please, those open calls.
The Mamma Mia.
Yeah. So take that energy of I'm done with musical theater and put it into your story. And yeah, your career might look a little different, but it will be yours. And I don't know. What perspective of theater did you have? Who told you it was going to be easy? Who told you that when you got to the city, everything was going to be fine? First of all, many systems are broken, right, and need fixing. But when it comes to the industry being difficult and showing up for auditions, things are hard here. Things are hard here. But what will always be the easiest is expressing yourself and advocating for yourself. So I think that's the tie-in to mental health and theater today for me, is that create your work, because you can avoid those tightly packed rooms for auditioning for shows that, yeah, you might want to do, but like, where's the new stuff? What about you? Where's your perspective?
Yeah.
We want to see you. We want to see your perspective. So yeah, it's hard, guys. It's hard. It's hard here. And if you have ideas for how things can be fixed, take a step back and implement that patience that we were talking about and put them into motion. You don't have to drop comments on a TikTok and be like, I'm done with musical theater. No, take that energy and fix it. Be a part of the solution. For me, it's advocating about multi-hyphenating, creating your own work, how to create your own work, how to create more spaces. We were talking about jobs. There's not a lot of jobs on Broadway. There are when you create your own work, because if I'm writing a web series, I need to hire a director. I need to hire producers. I need to hire creative teams. I need to hire production assistants. That means people are getting paid. That means I just created 10 to 20 jobs where people are going to be able to pay their rent that month because they worked on my show. That's how I become a part of the solution, not by complaining about it. You can complain about it, of course, but follow it up with
Yeah.
something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
Like,
complain all the time.
just
But
don't leave it out in the stratosphere. Bring it back down to earth. Yeah.
be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
Be a part of the solution.
Absolutely. And something on that I have been pondering and going insane over low key is throughout the duration of me creating this, been editing and listening to myself over, and I'm like, okay, do I sound like I'm just complaining here? And I had to take a step back and I was like, no, that's not what I'm doing. I'm saying the things that I feel uncomfortable saying because they're not often said. It's not a new perspective that's just not said often.
I'm also here to say it with a positive energy, right?
Absolutely.
Like you are the solution. Like just be productive about it. That's the cool thing about the industry. It's not brain surgery. You don't need 12 plus years of school to be approved by a board to be a part of the industry. If you have an idea, share it, lead with it, do it, lead with example. I think a lot of people don't want to hear that because it does require a lot of work, but also the industry to some people is just showing up, auditioning, and getting on Broadway. But there's so much more than that. There's so many people don't think when you get to Broadway that you need to have a small business in your back pocket, some sort of coaching business, some sort of thing that is going to help you. If you don't want to wait tables, which power to people that do, there are many people that do want to wait tables, and that's totally fine. But if you don't want to wait tables, but you also don't have money, how are you going to do that? Theater is business. Theater is business, and when you're in a room, you have to sell it. It's more than just singing "She Used to Be Mine" from Waitress.
Yeah. Funny. Okay, so I feel like we will wrap things up. I really appreciate all of your perspectives. It's extremely refreshing and inspiring and educational to hear from you. So thank you so much, Michael, for coming on the show today. And hope all is well in your realm.
Thanks for having me. And if anyone's listening to this and wants to follow on Instagram or social
do the
media,
plugs.
I'm at the Michael Kushner on Instagram and TikTok. And if you want to come for headshots, go to michaelkushnerphotography.com. I'm currently doing a strike sale to help out during the strike times. So inquire for rates and see you in the studio.
Yeah, take advantage of that, folks. All right, bye, thespians.
Bye, thespians.